I wanted to demonstrate today how to save a grocery store orchid. They're always blooming beautifully in the store, but after their blooms are done, which is usually around 2 months, they don't bloom again usually, and they quickly die. So what's the problem? Well, it's actually pretty easy to fix. So I have an example here of one that I just took apart that bloomed really nicely for its 2 months, and the blooms fell off, and I had the opportunity to take it apart and see what was going on with it. As you can see, all of this white is all rotted and rotting and sickly roots at the bottom. And the bedding, or the potting in it, was this mushy, mossy stuff. And you can see how some of the rots, some of the roots are rotted and in the moss here. So some of the roots had already fallen off in there. And the bedding was real musty, yucky smelling. There was some like greenish, moldy looking stuff on it. So, you know, the roots were in pretty bad shape. However, the leaves are looking pretty good. You know, everything with the leaves looks pretty good. The only thing I could find wrong with the leaves was there was one spot on the bottom here. So I'm not quite sure what that is yet, or if that will cause a problem for the plant. I'm not sure. But up here, you can see where the flowers were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that one. But on the very end, you see right there, that's where the new blooms are going to come from. That's going to grow a big long spike with new blooms on it. And it had 3, and they all have the same thing. The new spike is on the end, so that's pretty nice. Once we have this potted correctly, it should be a real beautiful orchid, and it should continue blooming over and over again. This example I have here is one that I was able to save from the grocery store. And it's been 3 years I've had this. And it hasn't grown new leaves, but it has bloomed. I think this is its 6th time. And you can see on the end here, it's got number 7 coming right there. So these blooms are about done, and that new one will take over with new blooms. And it just seems like there is no end to how long this guy is going to keep blooming. So that's really exciting to me, because I've never been able to get an orchid to rebloom. So the trick is right here. repotme.com. This is called PHALAENOPSIS Monterey Dark Imperial Orchid Mix. And I'll show you what it looks like here. I showed you what normally, you know, is in the grocery stores, this mossy stuff, like it's real mushy and musty, yucky. This stuff, I call it Cocoa Puffs because it has these little Cocoa Puff dudes in it right here, see? And it's just a real loose, real pebbly type stuff. You can see how different that is. It has a little bit of the mossy stuff in it, but mostly this kind of a woody, different stuff in there. And it's real loose and airy because orchids like a lot of oxygen around the roots. In the wild, they grow on tree trunks, and they don't have any type of dirt or anything packed around their roots, and the roots need to be in the air. And so that's the second key. You want a pot, which you can also get these at repotme.com, that has the holes in it. It has holes in the sides and holes in the bottom. And you want this plant to be getting oxygen all the time. And so you can take this plastic guy and put it inside of a ceramic pot or whatever kind of decorative pot you want. But the key is you want at least 1 inch of air to be able to get around this pot all the way around it. So you want the decorative pot to be at least 1 inch bigger on all sides, so that the air is getting down into there and the roots are getting oxygen. And that is the key. And when you water it, you just simply, you have it in something like this, maybe, or in anything that's a whole water, and you water it from the top, and you let it soak for 10-15 minutes. And then you dump the water out, and that's all there is to it. That's all the water they need. I water about once a week. That's all there is to it. Doesn't like too much bright light, like it wouldn't do well in a south window, but it does really good in my east facing window. They don't need a lot of light either, so they're actually really easy to care for once you have them in the right substrate and the right kind of container. So I'm going to be repotting this guy right here real soon. I want to take it apart and see how the roots have done, see if there's any rotten roots in there, see if anything needs to be pruned or cared for. And I'm going to be putting it in a new, bigger container because the roots have really grown. And I can't show you quite on here because I can't turn upside down, but you can see the roots in here, and there's roots coming at the bottom too. So that's really an excellent sign that this is doing really well. And the roots look healthy. The ones that come at the bottom are real firm, no mushiness to them. So they're not, there's no sign of rot that I can see. So I'll do a future video to show what happens when I take this guy apart, see if there was any issues in there, and see if my 3 years of it being in there has been successful or not. I think it's going to be really good. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned for more.